All right, so Matt, first things first, let me talk a little bit about the recruiting process, or let me ask you, I should say, a little bit about the recruiting process. You committed to Marquette last summer before a lot of the AAU tournaments were over. Why did you make the decision to commit so early on?
I knew Marquette was the place I wanted to be. I mean, I talked to Coach Wojo several times. I'd visited there a few times. I'd seen the campus, and I'd also been to other places like Michigan State and Davidson and other schools. So I kind of knew what I was looking for, and I knew Marquette had the best to offer for me. So I just wanted to get it out of the way. I started getting recruited my sophomore year, and it is kind of stressful having coaches calling you all the time. And I knew before the last like big AAU season that I wanted to go to Marquette, so I just got out of the way.
Now, you listen to recruiting stories from top prospects and you hear these crazy things about coaches showing up to their house, getting calls at 12 or 1 in the morning or something like that. Did you at all feel like harassed during the recruiting process or anything like that? Because I know some people have.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as saying harassed, because I mean it's all good stuff, I mean these coaches really want you to play for their school, and it is hard, with all the kids. Like there's a lot of schools pulling for the same type of kids. So I mean the coaches are under pressure too to get good recruiting classes, but I enjoyed it as much as it was a little stressful for me at times.
So when did Marquette enter the picture for you? Because I know that they were looking at you even before Wojo got there.
Yeah, they weren't as big on my list as they were with Coach Williams, but then when Wojo got there and I was able to meet him in person and meet his staff, I was really excited about Marquette, and that was definitely a turning point.
Well, you hear actually Sakar Neem committed only a few days after his visit. Tracy Carter committed the day after. I guess the question I have is, what is Wojo doing during these recruiting visits? Like, what is he saying to you?
He's just, he's making us promises and that, he's always going to give us his best, and he cares about us, not only as players, but as people, and he's never going to do anything to wrong us at all. And he's, I mean, he's a great coach. He's coming from Duke and Coach K, who's arguably the best men's college basketball coach ever, so he's got great roots, and I'm really excited about the type of coach he's going to be.
So when you were being recruited, Marquette was looking at both Henry Ellenson and Diamond Stone, ended up getting Henry Ellenson. Did that factor into your decision at all?
Yeah, I did. I committed before Henry, but I was very excited when Henry committed because he brings a lot to the table. I mean, he's a very, very good player. I'm excited to play with him. He's going to be probably starting as a freshman, playing right away, contributing a lot to our team.
So during the recruiting process, how often did it enter your mind? Was it only during basketball games, or was it something that was just 24/7 you were thinking about?
I don't know. It wasn't like 24/7, but I thought about it a lot. Like, are you talking about like Marquette or?
No, just in general, the recruiting process. Like, I know people talk about just the college admissions process during the end of their junior and senior year being like a daily thing. Like, every day there was something new that they had to do. Is it sort of the same way with the recruiting process? Was it just something that showed up on the basketball court, or was it something that was just always that you were thinking about?
It was frequently, because the coaches will want to talk to you and things, and that can't happen on the basketball court. But usually when I'm on the court, I don't really think about it that much, and I just focus on playing. I love basketball, and I think it's really fun. So, well, most of it was off the court though, thinking about which school I wanted to go to and which school had the most to offer.
So, since you've been recruited, have any current Marquette players or Wojo or anybody on the staff reached out to you? How often does this happen? What did they say?
Yeah, I'm in touch with Todd Smith, the strength coach, all the time because I'm doing the lifting programs already. And then I talk to Wojo usually like once or twice every 2 weeks.
So, talk about the lifting programs. Like, what does that entail?
It's just, I mean, 4 days a week. It's very vigorous. I mean, it's a big step up from college basketball to, from high school to college basketball. So I need to get a lot stronger and be ready to play a lot more physically. And Coach Todd's doing a great job with that.
You actually mentioned last summer to Inside the Hall, which is an Indiana Hoosiers basketball site, that you wanted to improve your athleticism and strength last summer. How's the progress? Like, what would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being totally satisfied and 1 being not at all satisfied?
I think from that time last summer, I have improved a lot, maybe like a 5, but I know I can get a lot stronger, and I'm really working towards that.
So, I know you mentioned that you were maybe going to go up to Marquette during the summer and do some workouts there. What exactly goes on during summer workouts, or do you not know yet?
Well, we take summer school to help lighten the load when it's in season. You know, with basketball, we travel a lot, so taking summer classes helps make it easier for us to stay in class during the season. And so we go up there and we'll have workouts and lifting while we're taking classes in the summer.
So, you mentioned that you wanted to go to a place with strong academics, and that academics was something that's very important to you. What are you studying?
I'm gonna be a psych major.
Psych major. Any plans on what you might want to do with that? Do you want to go into psychology?
I think so. I mean, I'm interested. I'm interested in being a industrial organizational psychologist. So like, I'd be giving people like job interviews and psychoanalyzing them to see if they're fit for a certain job or not, or like maybe like a clinical psychologist dealing with people with mental disabilities or psychological disorders.
Hmm. Oh, that's really cool. So, back to recruiting for just a second. I watched pretty much every interview and like tape and stuff like that in preparation. And when you got up to sign the national letter of intent, you know, I just sort of got a sense for how sort of really intense that was. How does it feel signing that letter? Are you relieved? Do you feel like, oh my goodness, I could be making a mistake? Like, what is it?
I think for some people it might be making a mistake if they might feel rushed into it, but I was definitely ready to go and ready to sign for Marquette, and it was nice.
So you sort of felt relieved.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like a finalizing thing, like like when you verbally commit, like it's still like it's just basically like saying like, oh, they've offered me a scholarship, I'm gonna go there, but then when you sign, it's official and like you are going there now and you have a full scholarship and everything.
So I want to talk a little bit about your actual game. Name 3 things that you think you do really well on a basketball court.
Use both hands. I mean, some schools actually thought I was left-handed, even though I'm right-handed. I'm versatile. I can shoot anywhere on the court, basically like 3 inside, and then I run the court really well. I can play for basically a whole game, and I can run with the guards and get out on fast break.
Now, you talked about being ambidextrous and being able to use both hands well. You said that when you played against your mom, that she made you use your left hand. Your mom helped you train?
Yeah, my mom played college basketball and did track at Salisbury in Maryland, which is a pretty small private university. But yeah, she really was adamant about me being able to use either hand, and so I'd play like 2-on-1 with my mom and my brother, or just 1-on-1 where I was only allowed to use my left hand.
Really? Who'd win those games?
Mostly me, but it was still there were a couple close ones sometimes, but it was just really fun and also getting better as a basketball player.
So on the topic of your outside shooting, I talked to Coach Bork earlier this week, and he says that you would go pretty much toe-to-toe against guards and the people that you would traditionally expect to be really good shooters, and often win. So is that something that you've really been working to develop?
Yeah, and I kind of naturally have like a soft touch, and shooting comes easy to me, but I have been working on it a lot, just getting extra shots up after practice. Or like even in the off season right now, I'm doing a lot of shooting, working on my range.
So when you work on your shooting, what actually happens? Do you just sort of go in there and shoot around, or do you have like a set regimen that you go through?
I usually start with like some form shooting, because form's basically the most important part. You want to make sure that your shot's the same every time you take it, because that leaves less room for error. And then just work my way from close to the basket out, and then I'll usually do like mid-range, go like from one side of the hoop all the way around in like a half circle to the other, and then keep stepping back as I go.
So Coach Bork mentioned that Marquette may want to use you as a stretch 4 instead of playing you at center where you've traditionally been. Is that something you've had any experience with, and what are your thoughts on that?
In AAU, I did a lot of that stretch 4. I did a lot of pick and pop with my point guard and stuff like that, where I wouldn't be just in the post. I'd be out more, and I'd be driving in against guys who were slower than me.
Now, what's the difference between stretch 4 and traditional center? Because I know a lot of basketball fans would say, power forward, center, you're still down in the post. Like, different mindset, different, different positioning. What is it?
Yeah. Oh, well, traditionally, I mean, like, the center, the positions are changing a lot now because kids have to be more versatile and be able to step out. But traditionally, a center was the biggest guy, the strongest guy. All just would be down by the hoop, basically shooting mostly layups and post moves, grabbing rebounds and giving it to the guards. But a stretch position is just basically saying like they'll be able to step out, shoot the three or maybe drive in, do stuff that traditionally a post player wouldn't be doing in a game.
Mm-hmm. So he would act a little bit more like a guard.
Yeah,
a little bit.
And it makes it harder to cover for a defense because I mean a lot of post players aren't that great at defending dribble drive and things like that. So it helps move the defense and open up the lane for the guards.
Now, if Coach Wojo does decide to use you more as a stretch four, obviously Henry Allenson is a power forward, so your minutes are most probably going to be going down. What are your thoughts on that? Is it something that you really care about, or?
I don't think it's going to be a huge deal because I think I'll be a stretch four, but I would be playing the five. I mean, there's a lot of when it gets to like 4 and 5, they're basically interchangeable. So I'm sure there'd be times where me and Henry could be on the court at the same time, and then or like Luke Fisher and Henry or Luke Fisher and me. Like it changes a lot, and there's no really like true positions anymore. I mean, you have players like Kevin Durant who are as tall as me, but they could play point guard.
So. With Henry Allenson and Dwayne Wilson and some more established players on the Marquette team, you're probably not going to be the first scoring option like you were in high school. What's the mindset change there? Because some players say, all right, I'm not the first scoring option, I'm going to focus on rebounding, passing, and everything else. Or some players will say, the defense isn't on me anymore, they're on these other guys, I'm going to take this opportunity to try and score more. What's your mindset? Like, which one of the two?
I don't know. I'd probably say the first one were more to get those guys going, but I'm just going to do whatever I can to help the team. I'm not really a selfish guy. I mean, there's a lot of times where Coach Bork would tell me that I pass too much.
Yeah, he did tell me that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm always just for the good of the team, And I've gone to in middle school, I hardly played on my AU team, and then I worked my way up to become one of the better players on it. So, I've been in both positions before, and I handle both of them very well.
So we talked about what you do well on a basketball court. Name 2 things that you think you need to improve, and what you're doing to improve them.
Probably physicality and rebounding. It's a lot more physical in the college game, so I'll have to be ready to be able to push guys out and grab rebounds with people following me. Mm-hmm. And then also, I have to say, probably my ball screen defense, being able to show and get back a lot faster because the guards and big men are a lot quicker and more agile in college basketball. So I'll have to be able to stop a guard from coming into the lane while being able to get back to my guy.
Now, how do you improve those things when it's sort of just you working out? I mean, obviously when you have other people it's easier, but what can you do on your own?
The physicality, a big part of it is strength and getting stronger because it's easier to just push people around when you have more strength. And then the other stuff is doing like footwork exercises or just drilling for it. And a lot of it is just playing, like being in an open gym with high-level competition and then practicing that stuff against other guys.
So which would you say is better, your offensive or defensive game, and why is it better?
I'd probably say offense just because I'm very skilled offensively. I mean, I can do a lot of things on the offensive end, but my defense isn't terrible. I mean, I do take pride as a defender. I was all defensive team in my high school conference. So, I mean, offense would probably be better though.
So, in light of everything we've talked about, what current NBA player would you compare yourself to, and why would you make the comparison?
I'd say maybe like Kevin Love or Dirk Nowitzki, kind of. Like I can go in and post up against guys, but I can also step out and shoot the 3 or the mid-range jumper.
So, just going along with that whole stretch 4 thing, you sort of envision yourself as, both an inside and an outside player.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm working on.
So, what are some basketball goals that you have for yourself during your time at Marquette?
Definitely contribute to the team in any way I can. I don't want to be a guy who's there and is just kind of there, like I want to be a guy who is expected to contribute, whether it's on the bench, just being a spark for everybody else, or if it's playing some serious minutes and helping us on the court.
So obviously, your stats are available to you even more so in college. Is that ever something that you look at? Because I've interviewed a few athletes and they all have different answers to this. Is this something you think about at all?
Oh, not really. I mean, like, it's cool, like, if I have a game and someone's like, oh, you had, like, 20 points or something, like, that's cool, but I never go into a game saying, like, I need, like, this amount of points, this amount of rebounds. Like, I just go to help the team, because you never know what the other team's going to throw at you. Like, I've played teams where they just triple team me the entire game, so I might have scored, like, 6 points, but the guys they weren't guarding each had 20.
So
yeah.
Sorry. So how do you think Marquette's going to do next year?
I'm excited. Our class coming in is ranked pretty highly among the nation, so I mean, we'll be very young, but I think we can get a lot of experience, and we'll definitely get better as the season goes on.
Do you think this is a tournament team?
For sure.
All right, so going back to your high school days for a second, because they are almost over, you got the chance to play with a lot of the other top recruits in Wisconsin against people from all over the country in AAU. And it seems like with you and Diamond Stone and Henry Ellenson, Wisconsin basketball is really getting big. How would you say the guys you played with compare to people around the country? Were they just as good as any other team you played?
I think Wisconsin definitely is a step above a lot of other states. I mean, we have 2 All-Americans in just my class, along with like 11 guys, I think, total, who are going to play basketball on scholarship somewhere. So for sure the guys we're playing with, like, I feel like we have an advantage against any other state. And actually, I played on a Wisconsin Basketball Coaches Association Team Wisconsin thing against other states, and we won out against all those states by like 30. So
really?
Yeah, but I think especially this class is a very good class for Wisconsin basketball, and we have a rich tradition of producing good basketball players.
So out of all the great Wisconsin talent you played with, who's the one who you would say is the best, and who's the one you would say that you bonded with the most?
Henry for sure is the best. I mean, for a guy his size to have the skills he has is unreal. He's definitely an NBA ready player, and he'll definitely be able to contribute to Marquette right away. I probably have probably the most bond would be with Brevin Pritzel, as I hate to say it, the kid who's going to Wisconsin, because I played AAU with him for a year, and he lives pretty close to me, so we talk a lot.
So what would you say is your best basketball memory from your time in high school? Could be from playing on Nina's team, could be from AAU. Best basketball memory.
Probably playing in the state tournament at the Kohl Center, where the Badgers play, just because, I mean, there's a lot of people go there. It's usually packed, so playing against playing in front of 11,000 people against top level competition is really fun, and it kind of gave me a peek at what college would be like for me, and I was really excited about it.
So let me turn it around a little bit. What is your best non-basketball memory from high school?
Probably the AAU tournaments in Vegas, just because, like, you get there and there's nothing you'll ever see in your life that's like Las Vegas. I mean, the shows and everything is crazy, and you have like street performers. It's just really, really good to see.
Give me your best Vegas story.
There was a time when I was with Nick Niskoviak and Brevin, and we were walking on the strip, and we were like 16, and Niskoviak had like a little mustache growing, and so some guy thought we were 21, and he asked us, he just went up to us and like asked us if we wanted to go to a strip club, telling us he could have like a limo there.
Really?
In 5 minutes. Yeah, but we were like, sorry dude, we're only 16, like, you probably shouldn't be talking to us, and then he like just ran away basically.
Yeah, I would say not on that one.
Yeah, but it's just like stuff like that, like, I've never had a person come up to me saying he'll take me to a strip club in a limo before, but...
Well, I suppose that's not an experience that a lot of us have had. But, yeah, so what's one thing that, from your time in high school, that you wish you'd done differently? Could have been basketball, could have been non-basketball, just anything.
I don't know. I went to a different school my freshman year and ended up transferring, so if I had to say, I probably would have went to Nina my freshman year.
What school did you go to your freshman year?
Appleton West.
Mm-hmm.
It's just down the road from
Why
me.
the transfer?
It wasn't right for me. Like, the school and everything was cool, but the basketball team, I didn't feel like, that was what was best for me and that it would help me the most as a player. And I knew I could do better, and Nina is another school in our conference, and I had heard a lot of great things about it. So I transferred there, and then right away, they had me. I mean, I didn't lift at all at Appleton West, and they had me lifting right away, getting stronger. So Nina was definitely the right choice.
So who is one teammate that you played with at Nina that you would credit for helping you the most?
Probably Trevor Entwistle. He was our point guard this year. He's a kid in my class. He's committed to Minnesota Duluth to play basketball there. And he's probably one of my closest friends since I got there, and has really helped me, just get to know other people at Nina, and then being my basketball teammate for 3 years.
So what would you say has been your biggest learning experience from high school?
Probably a toughness factor, going to just being able to, like if I roll my ankle in a game, like being able to still practice and just tough it out because my team needs me. I wasn't able to do that my sophomore year, but now my senior year I am able to play through injuries.
So what's the most debilitating injury you've played through, and how did it feel to play through it?
I had a strained back, and I played through that for a couple games, and it wasn't great, but I did rest it in practice. I didn't practice for 2 days, and that helped me rest a lot. And then I wasn't able to be 100% for the games where I did play with it. But after I got back, I mean, we won all the games that I was hurt, so we definitely needed me for them.
So one thing that I hear from a lot of athletes at the high school and collegiate level is that athletics is just such a time consumer that they just have no room for a lot of other stuff that they wanted to do. Is that your experience?
Oh, yeah. You kind of have to choose between, I mean, if you are in a sport, you have to choose between being able to do homework or do, like, other fun stuff. I mean, especially weeknights, like, it's usually basketball, like, workout, then homework. And even in the off season, like, even right now, I don't get home till, like, 5:30 or 6.
So going back to Coach Bork for a minute, what role has he played in your development?
Definitely huge, because he hasn't babied me at all. He's expected me to be really tough on and off the court, and just teaching me a lot too. He's let me carry the weight of the team on my shoulders this year, and he's trusted me to do that.
So when I interviewed him, I asked him to give me 3 words that best describe you. Can you guess what he said?
One of them is probably like hardworking, maybe humble. I'm not sure.
He said goofy, intense, and caring. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with my teammates, I'm pretty much a goof, but when it comes to the game, I'm all intensity and I'm 100% serious. And then I'm also really caring about my teammates. I mean, I think how he says, like, sometimes I pass too much might be a test of that, where like I just want to keep everybody happy.
Yeah, well, one thing that he spoke very highly of you about is your civic involvement. He says you always take pictures with the kids after the games, and he says whenever the basketball team goes to do something at the middle school, you're always there. What has that work meant to you?
It means a lot to give back. I think especially for like a high school community, if we can inspire the younger kids, we'll just have a great basketball tradition, and the kids will want to be like us, and they'll start working hard in the gym, and we might have more D1 athletes like when they're in college because of my class and what we did for them.
Is that something you might want to continue at Marquette?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's great to give back. I mean, a lot of people watch us on TV, but then the giving back part is stuff that not a lot of college basketball players do, and I think it's really important.
So you wrapped up your high school career with a loss to Stevens Point. How does it feel, now that it's been given some distance? Does it still hurt, or are you basically over it now?
I'm over it. I mean, it was a really close game. They won on like a buzzer-beating layup, and we beat them the last time. And it's always been kind of a rivalry between the two of us, and it did sting for a while, knowing that that was their closest game all playoffs, and they ended up winning state. Saying that could have been us, but I'm over it now, and I'm excited for Marquette.
So one of the players on Stevens Point is Sam Hauser, and Marquette's been looking at him for maybe recruiting for 2016. What are your impressions of him?
He's a very good player. He's very tall, and he's also a great shooter, a very skilled guard. He can also probably rebound with the post players despite being a 3.
So is he something that, is he someone where like if Coach Wojo said, "Hey, I'm going to recruit this guy. Tell me what you think," you would give your recommendation to say, "Go ahead and get him"?
Yeah, for sure. Sam Hauser's a great player.
So obviously, there's not much time left for you in high school. Is there anything left, either basketball related or not basketball related, that you wanted to do that you didn't get a chance to?
Um, Not really. You know, I mean, there's a I mean, I did want to go overseas for a French club and go to France and see that, but that's right in the middle of basketball season, so I wasn't able to do that. But other than that, I think nothing really. I mean, I really enjoyed high school.
Do you speak fluent French?
No.
Anywhere near fluent, or like what's your level of proficiency?
I could have a conversation with like French elementary schooler maybe.
Really? Wow. Well, that's certainly better than I could do. But well, do you plan on coming back to visit your high school at all once you moved on?
Yeah, probably. You know, I think it's also good to come back and just to play against the high school kids because it's good competition. That's how I got better. Is Brian Butch, a guy who played for the Badgers and overseas, he would come in and play against me in our open gyms. So I think for me to be able to do that to some other kids to help get them better would help Nina a lot. And I'm always looking to give back to the community.
So when you come back to visit your high school, who name some people who you need to see? Like when you walk in those doors, who's the first person you want to go talk to?
Probably Coach Borker, Mr. Wunderlich, our principal, and then my psychology teacher probably because he's just a really interesting guy. And then Mrs. Dorr, our activities director, is a really, really sweet, nice lady. So I'd probably go see her right away.
So I want to shift into some of the more personal, maybe even more fun questions. You said at the time of your commitment you only had one Marquette shirt. How many do you have now?
Like 10, I think.
Really? Everybody you know is just buying you Marquette stuff and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I knew, like, my mom was saying, like, when I wanted to get all this Marquette gear, she's like, what if you end up not liking it there? I'm like, Mom, I'm going to love it there. Like, I know Marquette is where I want to go.
My parents said that too, actually. So describe one of the happiest non-basketball moments of your life. Could be anything.
Jeez. It's kind of hard. I mean, so much with basketball. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one for a while because I mean, like the past, probably since like 7th or 8th grade, like all the stuff I've done that's been like really monumental in my life has been basketball related. But I mean, like seeing the Grand Canyon, but that was because we were in Las Vegas and it was pretty close, you know.
That counts.
Probably like seeing the Grand Canyon and like all the traveling I've been able to do because of basketball. You know, like I've been to Virginia and Washington D.C. to see everything over there, and then down to Florida, out to California. You know, just all the traveling, and I've basically seen the entire United States all because of basketball.
What would you say is the most interesting place you've gone, and what made it interesting?
Probably Las Vegas, just because it's a pretty wild city. I mean, I've never seen a hooker in person before, and then I've seen like 100 now that I've been through Las Vegas.
I suppose that tends to happen when you visit Vegas. So, continuing on the vein of things that have not much to do with basketball, what are some non-basketball related goals you have at Marquette?
For sure to graduate. I mean, I value an education, and even if I may get the chance to leave early to pursue a professional basketball career, I'd still want to graduate. Because basketball doesn't last forever, but I mean a degree does. So after playing basketball, I want to be able to get a good job.
So you hear a lot about how tough it is for collegiate athletes to schedule classes around practice and all that. I don't know if you've worked on your schedule yet, but is that true? Like, what classes are and aren't open to you?
It is tough, but I mean our academic advisor does a really good job of that, and they're really on top of it because the main thing they want us is to be able to get good grades and be able to play intercollegiate athletics. So I mean that's definitely a focus for Marquette, is for their kids to get a good education while playing sports.
What's the toughest thing about the student athlete experience that most people don't realize?
I would probably have to say the studying part where you may have a game in Tuesday, or well, like in the Big East, Providence is in New York, so you may have a game in Tuesday in New York, and then on Thursday or Friday you might be flying to Omaha, Nebraska to play Creighton. So I mean, you're missing basically a week of school. So it is kind of hard. You're missing tests and stuff that you have to make up while still being able to, just stay at pace in your classes. So
Did that happen to you in high school too?
um, a little bit in AAU because there'd be times where we'd be leaving on like a Thursday or a Friday to go to like Indiana or somewhere in the Midwest, but still pretty far away. But I think it's a lot more manageable because at most you miss like 1 or 2 days and just have like an extended weekend basically.
So, what would you say is one thing that you couldn't live without?
Uh, Probably basketball. I mean, I play every day. Like everything I think about is basketball related.
So, who is one person that you couldn't live without?
Probably my mom.
So, why is that? Like, what do you like most about her?
She's really nice and understanding, she understands kids will make mistakes, so if I may get like a bad grade on a test, she's never one to be like super upset with me and always just helping me do my best and encouraging me to do better on the next one.
Mm. What would you say is your biggest pet peeve?
Um, Hypocrites.
What's something that you wish you were good at that you aren't?
Probably dancing, because like high school you get prom and homecoming and all that, and big tall white guys are usually terrible dancers. So I mean, if I could go in like a circle of people and bust out some cool dance moves, that'd be really awesome.
As it turns out, small white guys are equally bad dancers. So if you had a car with a full tank of gas, and assume you're starting from here, and no obligations, where would you go and why?
Probably Milwaukee, just because I mean it's a great city. There's lots of stuff to do there. My AU team's based out of there, so I do have a lot of friends there that I could hang out with. So, I mean, probably Milwaukee.
If you get $1 million, what's your plan for spending it?
Save it.
Save it all?
Yeah, put it in the stock market.
Good man. I'm sure Coach Wojo will, major thumbs up to that answer. What would you say your biggest fear is?
Probably getting a career-ending injury.
So, where do you want to be in 20 years? It could be place, profession, family, anything.
Happy with a family and a house and a job, whatever it might be, but I just want to be happy.
Name 5 things on your bucket list.
Travel to at least 3 other continents. Get married and don't get divorced. That's 2. Not to pressure any of my children into being basketball players and just supporting them in whatever way I can. 4. What is the 4th one? Make sure my mom is taken care of. And 5 would be to make a difference, like in my community or in my school or something.
You keep talking about making a difference in your community. Obviously, Marquette is big on service. What kinds of things are you anticipating on doing there, or have you not figured it out yet?
On my visit, actually, I was able to watch the guys go help out at Al's Run with the children who are patients at the hospital there, and I'm actually really looking forward to doing that. I think it's great for those kids, because they probably don't get out and do a lot of stuff because they have life-threatening illnesses, and being able to play basketball with the kids and give back like that, I'm really excited for.
Now, just fair warning, this is without a doubt the weirdest question that I'm going to ask you, but I ask it to everyone because I think your response tells a lot about who you are as a person. If the zombie apocalypse breaks out, what's your first move?
To team up with a bunch of people, strength in numbers, I'd rather have to fight like a million zombies with a ton of people than just by myself.
So, who would you want to team up with?
Probably my dad's side of the family, all of them do hunting and things, so they're pretty gun savvy, so probably a lot of them and my cousins and people like that. And also, I'd probably try to find anybody who owns like a local gun store or anything.
So, just two more questions for you, getting back on sort of a more reflective note to end the interview. If we're sitting here or at Marquette this time next year talking about what a great 12 months it's been, what will have happened in those 12 months?
We would have made the tournament probably. Made a run. I don't know how deep, but I know we would have made a run in the tournament. Marquette basketball will be turning over and starting a new leaf, starting a new dominating tradition like it used to be. And I don't know.
And finally, one last question. In 4 years, when your time at Marquette is up and you're graduated and you're sort of out into the world, how do you want to be remembered by the Marquette community?
As a guy who always gave everything he had and someone who bleeds blue and gold.